I never thought a simple massage could lead to something that would shake the foundation of my entire relationship. It started like any ordinary evening, calm, quiet, just the two of us at home. My boyfriend, Derek, had been unusually sweet all week. He cooked dinner, cleaned the house, even brought me flowers one afternoon for no reason. At first, I thought he was just being thoughtful. But deep down, something about his sudden kindness felt off. Almost like he was overcompensating for something. That night, I was sitting on the couch with my legs stretched out after a long day at work. My back was sore, my feet ached, and honestly, I just wanted to relax in silence. Derek sat beside me, gently pulled my feet into his lap, and offered to give me a massage. It wasn't the first time. He had done it before and always knew how to ease the tension from my body. So, I let him. I closed my eyes and tried to enjoy the moment, trying to ignore the strange feeling in my chest that something wasn't right. But then something shifted. His hands moved in a way that felt too intentional. Not just comforting, but curious. I opened my eyes, confused. The room felt heavier. The TV was still playing in the background, but all I could focus on was how his touch didn't feel innocent anymore. I pulled my legs back slightly and said, "Derek, stop. I'm not in the mood." I tried to keep my voice calm, not wanting to create unnecessary drama. He paused for a second. Just a second. Then smiled and said, "I just thought it would help you relax more." There was a tone in his voice I hadn't heard before, soft, but almost manipulative. I repeated myself, more firmly this time, and said, "Seriously, just stop." I pulled away completely and stood up, walking over to the kitchen to get some water. That's when he did something that made my heart drop. He didn't follow me. He didn't apologize. Instead, he stayed seated, grabbed his phone, and started texting, fast, like he was trying to erase something before I could see. My instincts kicked in. Something wasn't just off, it was wrong. I casually glanced over his shoulder, pretending to grab my charger from the table. And in that moment, I saw her name. Lena. Not a friend. Not a coworker. Just a name I hadn't heard before, but had a gut feeling about. I walked back slowly, holding my breath. My hands were trembling slightly, but I tried to act normal. I knew asking him directly wouldn't work. He was good at dodging questions, twisting words. I had to be smart. So I smiled, sat down next to him again, and said, "Can I borrow your phone for a sec?" Mine just died. What happened next? Let's just say, what I saw on that screen changed everything. And the massage, well, that was just the beginning of a story I never imagined I'd be telling. Derek hesitated for a split second when I asked for his phone. It was subtle, but I noticed it. His thumb hovered over the screen like he was trying to think of a way out. Then he forced a laugh, handed it to me, and said, "Sure, just don't judge my search history." He tried to sound casual, but the tightness in his smile gave him away. The moment the phone touched my hand, I felt this strange mix of guilt and suspicion. I didn't want to be the kind of person who went through her partner's phone. But something inside me said I needed to know the truth. I pretended to open the browser, but instead I quickly pulled down the recent texts. My heart was racing. I told myself maybe I was overthinking. Maybe Lena was just a cousin or a friend from work. But the messages told a different story. There were late-night chats, heart emojis, jokes that clearly weren't meant for just friends. One message in particular hit me like a punch. "Last night was risky but worth it." It was sent just 2 days ago. My fingers went cold. I scrolled up, searching for context, trying to figure out if I had misunderstood. But no, it was exactly what it looked like. Derek had been seeing someone behind my back. And the way they joked, how comfortable they were with each other, it didn't feel new. It felt deep. I didn't say anything right away. I just handed the phone back and said, "Thanks." He smiled again, completely unaware that I had just seen everything. I walked to the bathroom, locked the door, and sat on the edge of the tub, trying to breathe. My thoughts were spinning. How long had this been going on? Was it someone he worked with? Did our friends know? So many moments from the past few weeks started making sense now. The extra hours at work, the sudden mood swings, the way he always put his phone face down on the table. I had blamed myself for being too tired, too distant, but the truth was, he had made a choice long before that massage started. I didn't confront him that night. I needed to think. I needed to understand how we got here. Because the betrayal wasn't just about Lena, it was about everything we had built together slowly crumbling in silence. And I knew the next move I made would change everything. The next morning, I woke up early, even though I hadn't really slept. Derek was still in bed, snoring softly like nothing had changed. I stood by the window for a long time, watching the sky lighten, trying to decide what to do. My mind kept going back to those texts. Every word felt like a wound, reopening the trust one had slowly built with him over the years. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but it was hard to deny what I saw. The way they talked, the way he hid it, it wasn't just a casual mistake. It was a choice, and he made it more than once. As I brewed my coffee, my phone buzzed. It was a message from my best friend, Tara. She asked if everything was okay. I guess she sensed something was off the last time we met. I debated telling her. Part of me felt ashamed, like maybe I had ignored all the signs. But I ended up typing a quick reply, "Can we talk later?" "Something's up with Derek." Her response came almost instantly, "I'm here whenever you're ready." That made me feel a little less alone. Throughout the day, Derek acted like everything was normal. He joked around, offered to order lunch, even kissed me on the forehead before heading out for errands. But I noticed he left his phone behind. That wasn't like him. He was glued to it, always. Which made me wonder, was it intentional? Was he trying to prove something? Or was it a trap to see if I'd go through it again? Instead of checking it right away, I walked into our bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed. My mind wandered back to the beginning of our relationship, how safe I used to feel, how I trusted him completely. That trust was now a question mark I couldn't ignore. And as much as I wanted answers, I was scared of what else I might find. Later, when he came back, I noticed a faint perfume on his jacket. It wasn't mine. I didn't ask. I just smiled, and he smiled back. But that silence between us had changed. We were both pretending now. And the space between what I knew and what he thought I knew was getting more dangerous. Something was building. Something was going to break. I just didn't know when. Over the next few days, things between us grew quieter but heavier. Derek kept acting like everything was fine, like nothing had happened. He even planned a weekend getaway for us, a last-minute trip to a cabin outside the city. He said it was to reconnect, that we'd both been stressed lately. I forced a smile and agreed, all while feeling a storm growing inside me. It felt like he was trying to cover his tracks, buying time before the truth caught up with him. As we drove up into the woods, I kept watching him from the passenger seat. He talked casually, played music we used to listen to, and laughed at his own jokes. But I was somewhere else entirely. My mind was racing with questions. Who was Lena really? How long had they been talking? Had he ever thought of ending it, or did he even want to? At one point, his phone buzzed in the cup holder, and I caught a glimpse of the screen. Her name again. Lena. Just a short message, "Did you tell her yet?" That one line hit me harder than all the rest. My breath caught in my throat, and I had to look away so he wouldn't notice the panic in my face. I didn't say a word the rest of the drive. My fingers dug into my jeans, trying to stay calm, but inside I was burning. If she was asking that question, then there was more to this than I thought. Maybe it wasn't just cheating. Maybe he had promised her something, maybe he was planning to leave me. And here we were, going on a trip like everything was normal. That night at the cabin, things felt tense but quiet. He made dinner, poured wine, and lit candles like he was trying to create a picture-perfect moment. I sat at the table, pretending to enjoy it, waiting for the right time to ask the questions building inside me. But every time I opened my mouth, the words stuck. I wasn't ready, not yet. Then, just as we were about to sleep, I saw it again. His phone lit up on the nightstand. Another message from Lena. This one said, "She doesn't suspect anything, right?" I stared at the screen, heart pounding, as he slept beside me peacefully. That was the moment I knew something bigger was going on. Something he was hiding, and I was just inches away from finding out. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there next to Derek, staring at the ceiling while his breathing stayed steady and relaxed. My eyes kept going back to his phone, the glow of Lena's message still burned in my memory. She doesn't suspect anything, right? That one sentence kept repeating in my head like a broken loop. It wasn't just infidelity anymore, it felt deeper, more layered. They weren't just sneaking around. They were planning something, hiding something far beyond what I could see. The next morning, I pretended to be tired, distracted, uninterested. I didn't want him sensing that I had seen anything. I needed to observe, to understand what exactly I was caught in the middle of. While Derek went outside to take a call, one he quickly answered and walked far away to make, I took the chance and opened his laptop, which he had left on the dining table. It was unlocked. My heart was racing as I scrolled through the browser history, not even sure what I was looking for. But then I found something that made me freeze. There were multiple searches about relocation, dividing property without a lawyer, and even how to transfer joint savings to a personal account without alerting your partner. I sat back, stunned. It felt like the floor had disappeared under me. Derek wasn't just cheating, he was preparing to disappear. Quietly, carefully. Without saying a word. And Lena, maybe she wasn't just a fling. Maybe she was the next chapter of his life, one he was already halfway into while I was still stuck in the story I thought we were writing together. But what he didn't know was that I had already noticed a few things about our finances too. Small transfers. Missing details from our shared app. I thought I was being forgetful, but now, I knew better. Later that afternoon, he came back inside, smiling, carrying firewood like he was the perfect boyfriend. "Tonight's going to be special," he said, and kissed me on the cheek. My stomach twisted. There was something in his tone. It didn't sound excited, it sounded final. I played along, pretending to be surprised and thankful. But every minute after that, I was watching his every move. Why was he being so careful? So charming? Was he trying to distract me before he made his move? Or was tonight the night he planned to tell me everything? Then just before dinner, while he was outside again, I received an email alert on my phone. It was from the bank. A large transfer had been made from our joint account into one I didn't recognize. I felt my hands go numb. I opened the email and stared at the number. It was nearly all our savings. Derek came back in seconds later, laughing about something on his phone. He had no idea I knew. No clue that his perfect lie was starting to fall apart. And now, the question wasn't if I'd confront him. It was how much more he was hiding, and whether I was already too late to stop what he had started. I stood at the cabin window, holding my phone tightly, my eyes locked on the bank notification. The number haunted me. Derek had just drained nearly every dollar we had saved over the past 3 years. My heart pounded so loud I could barely hear him walking back inside. He smiled like nothing was wrong and set 2 plates on the table. "Dinner's ready," he said, voice smooth, pretending to be the man I used to trust. I sat down without saying a word, my mind spinning with everything I now knew: Lena, the secret messages, the searches about relocation, and now the money. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a calculated exit. I took a bite, forced a smile, and looked him straight in the eye. So, what are we celebrating? I asked calmly. His fork paused mid-air. He blinked for a moment and then said, just us. Getting back to where we used to be. That was it. I couldn't take it anymore. Is that why you emptied our account today? I asked, still trying to keep my voice steady. His expression froze, and for the first time in days, the mask dropped. What are you talking about? He asked, almost too quickly. I slid my phone across the table with the email still open. This account. The one you transferred everything into. Whose is it, yours or Lena's? His face turned pale. He looked like he was caught between panic and fury, but couldn't choose which one to show first. You've been spying on me, he said, voice low now, tight. No, I replied, leaning back. You've just been very bad at hiding things. He stood up suddenly, pacing like he needed to escape the room. It's not what you think, he began, the classic line. I was going to tell you. I just needed time. Time to do what? Leave? Disappear with her? Take everything and pretend none of this existed? He looked at me for a long moment, then said something I didn't expect. Lena's not who you think she is. She's not just some affair. She's my ex-wife. My breath caught. You're what? She reached out a few months ago. Said she needed help. Said she was in danger and couldn't trust anyone else. I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't want to drag you into it. I stared at him, stunned. Everything I thought I knew shifted again. But it still didn't explain the money, the secrecy, or the way he lied every step of the way. You should have told me from the beginning, I said, standing up. But instead, you turned our life into a lie. He didn't stop me when I walked to the door, keys in hand, heart pounding with both anger and disbelief. But just as I opened it, his phone buzzed again. Another message from Lena. It read, she knows. Plan B. And in that one moment, I realized, it still wasn't over. I stared at Derek's phone, that last message from Lena still glowing on the screen. She knows. Plan B. My hands trembled, but not out of fear anymore, out of clarity. This wasn't just about infidelity or emotional betrayal. This was a plan, carefully built in the shadows, and I had just stepped into the middle of it without knowing. I turned back to him, expecting panic or guilt in his face, but what I saw instead was something colder. Resignation. Like he knew this moment was coming. I wanted to fix it, he said softly. But it got too far. I couldn't control it anymore. He sat back down, his head in his hands. Lena, she wasn't just in trouble. She pulled me into something messy. Legal trouble. Debt. And I thought if I helped her, it would end. But it only got worse. My voice was quiet. So you used our money to help her? He nodded slowly. At first, it was just a little. Then I couldn't stop. She said she'd expose things from my past if I didn't. I was scared. It was strange, hearing all of this didn't make me feel better. It just made me tired. Tired of lies, of secrets, of living in a world where I had to second-guess everything. I looked at him one last time, and I knew that the man I once loved was no longer standing in front of me. I'm leaving, I said, my voice steady now. Not just this cabin. I'm leaving us. He didn't argue. Maybe because he knew there was nothing left to fight for. I packed my things quickly and walked out, not looking back. The cold air hit my face like a slap, but it felt honest. At least out here, nothing pretended to be something it wasn't. By the time I got back home, I'd already contacted the bank, locked the accounts, and called a lawyer. I made sure Derek couldn't move another cent. I also gave the message screenshot to a friend who worked in IT security, just in case. I didn't know what Plan B meant, but I wasn't going to sit around and wait to find out. In the days that followed, the silence was hard but peaceful. I told Tara everything, and she was furious I went through it alone. But slowly, I felt myself coming back, like a fog lifting. I focused on healing, on starting over, on trusting myself again. The truth is, betrayal doesn't just break your heart, it shakes your sense of reality. But it also teaches you something important: never ignore the signs. Your instincts are there for a reason. And sometimes, the most painful endings lead to the most powerful new beginnings. If you're watching this and you've ever doubted your gut, felt lost in a relationship filled with secrets, remember, truth always finds its way out. And you deserve more than love built on lies. Because I asked him to stop, but what I really needed was to start choosing myself. 28.